Hey, this is Ryan with Pro Trailblazer, and in this quick tip tutorial, I'm going to show you how I was using CSS and Tailwind today alongside Cursor. So I was working within the Cursor AI code editor. I was working on a freelance project, and I did something I do all the time, and that's moving normal style over to Tailwind. It's a real common thing when you're moving websites or redoing work or recreating a website in a more modern framework. You have to refactor a lot of stuff. So it worked really quick. I thought it was a perfect opportunity to show how well Cursor works for things that you know how to do, but it just takes a ton of time. So that's a really important thing. Make sure you have like a basic understanding of what you're using it for. In this case, we're using Tailwind. What Tailwind does is it takes CSS and it turns it into utility first CSS framework classes. So like background slate 100 is like a light blue gray. Rounded XL is a very harsh radius corner on a square, and padding 8 is 8 units of padding. So that's how Tailwind works. And in the starter that I've got here for an example, this is all inline styling. So if we click here on card, we'll see that we've got this style, and all this style needs to be up here instead of the classes. So we're going to move that over. We're going to do it significantly faster than if we were doing it by hand or even in like a ChatGPT window. So let's see here. First of all, we got to kind of review what's going on. And right away I see the space 2. And that usually means that there's some sort of global styling. In Astro, people tend to use this right here, like in the layout, they'll put a global style, then they'll add the global styling here. What we need right away is we need to change this to look like the font sizes for Tailwind. So I'm going to type in font sizes. This will give you an idea. We want it to be like text extra small, text medium, base, large. And when we make these changes, the actual front end that we're recreating, it's going to look almost identical. I think the Cursor will get like probably 98% of the work done. There's probably going to be something that we need to do too. But yeah, let's just give it the benefit of the doubt for right now. I'm going to copy all of these because these are all the variables that I need. I'm going to go down to the Tailwind config here, and I'm going to select all, Command K, and say add these to the extend in Tailwind CSS format. And then I'm also going to type an @ and go down to docs, and I'm going to load up the Tailwind CSS docs along with my prompt, and then I'm going to paste these in as well. So what I did was I pasted in all these units of measure. I added in the Tailwind docs, which is the URL for Tailwind, and then I'm going to click submit. And let's see how it does. So right away, I'm already seeing that it's in the right spot. It picked out the colors. It's got primary, secondary, accent, muted, and light. Awesome. It picked out the fonts. That's the way I would have done it. And then it did the spacing. That's the way it was set up. And then border radius. We talked about that briefly. Font sizes, max width, and box shadow. So there we go. That is what we needed to do there. I'd say we saved about 15 to 20 minutes of typing and maybe a couple of errors along the way, in my case. Next thing that we would need to do is change this component. So this component has CSS as well. So we're going to go to the card. We're going to select all. Going to hit Command K, and we're going to say, let's see, refactor this to use, you don't even have to say refactor. You can say use TW instead of style. Make it responsive and use TW standard sizing example font -XL. I found that works pretty well to just say like, hey, don't use like brackets, and don't get it exactly the exact right size. Like do like a general. In fact, I should say make it responsive and use Tailwind standard size to the nearest equivalent. And then we'll just click submit. So now it's going to go through. You can see it's removing on line 13. It removed the card and it replaced it with the stuff that was in the card class. And then we've also got that down here. I do see that there's pixels. So I'm going to say instead, I'm doing like a second. This is my second prompt appended to the last one. So it'll nuke everything that it just did. It'll use this extra prompt and then it'll get it right, ideally. So I'm going to say instead of bracket sizes, use the nearest Tailwind size equivalent. Oh, and I should also say, also reference the config then I'm going to do the @ sign again. If I can find where it is. There we go. I'm going to do the @ sign, and I'm going to find the file that is the Tailwind config. And that's probably why it didn't do that. So there we go. So now it's looking through the config. It made its decisions. It sees that we've got all these like height declarations that are similar, and it's taken out the brackets. It's adding in the right sizes. And the easiest way to find out if it's right is we click accept, and then we save it. Then we see if the right looks like the left. It looks pretty close. I think that that's okay. But right away I can tell that the height is thrown off. So I have to look right up here in the height and find where that is strangely too large. We've got this 112 in the image. So we're going to drop that down to, say, like 48. We'll see if that does the trick here. And you know what? Once again, I'm just going to highlight this. And I'm going to say change H and W to 48. It's just quicker. And then we're going to accept it, save it. There we go. So there you go. I mean, the exact sizing of it and getting it right, that was slightly off, but I think that's appropriate. I think that that is what we should expect when we're going through this process, is understanding how Tailwind works, understanding how CSS works, knowing what we want to do, and getting very, very close to how it needs to be done. And in this case, I'm totally satisfied that the only thing I need to do is figure out just a little bit of a size change, and then we're all set. I think that sizing difference was a really important part of the process of using Cursor to get everything just right. It's never going to be an exact replacement for what you're doing, but what we saw was most of the work got done, and there's a little bit of change that needed to happen. Well, thanks a lot for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe for all things digital creative at protrailblazer.com.